So let's say I had purchased a hardware security module through Amazon, and I had good reason to believe, with evidence to back the reasonability of my suspicion that the NSA and the FBI were breaking the law, like they tend to do. Like when they decide they want to threaten people, when people expose things that are going on, and like physically, like threaten to kill them, or when they threaten their jobs. Like, it's not just me saying that. You go in the Senate hearings, what you find is that's what these corrupt people do. When you talk about government programs that are illegal, by the way, where you got this mass delusion going on that because the people that are in these programs, they get brainwashed to believe that just because they sign a contract that it's a legal contract. No. No. Government programs that are not approved by Congress are illegal. I'm going to say that again. Government programs that are not approved by Congress with congressional approval are operating outside of the law. Therefore, when these people are talking about UAPs and they say, oh, we need a SCIF, no, they don't. I mean, maybe because they got themselves into a bit of trouble, and now that information can't be released because they created the national security threat to begin with. They created the situation where a SCIF may be required because they didn't ask permission, they just did it anyway. Or they talked about all these things and said, well, Congress, we can't talk to you about it or whatever. Okay, so if they got involved in a situation or created a situation that requires a SCIF, then what also needs to be talked about in the SCIF is discussion in regard to how we're going to go about dismantling the situation and gaining congressional oversight inside of a SCIF. That needs to be talked about inside of a SCIF is what I'm saying. In other words, when Congress is in there asking these people, well, why? And they're like, well, you have no need to know. The retort should be, you have no right. You are creating these programs, you have these programs going on without congressional approval. So yes, we have a need to know. Let's go into a SCIF and talk about it all. Let's see it all. Congress needs to know it all. Congress needs to then review it and then have approval. And you may be thinking, well, Congress doesn't have clearance, Congress doesn't have the military experience whatsoever, yada. All that needs to be unraveled now and unpacked, and it's the fault of these covert surveillance agencies that have created these issues to where that we have to backpedal now and unpack everything and figure out how to make it legal. So that is an example. So you've got people in the Senate saying, hey, I tried to say something about this and then they released my medical records illegally and maybe threatened my life, whatever. So, or like Dr. Greer might say, feds will come up to somebody and say, hey, if you say anything about this, I'm going to put this bad thing on your phone. Look at your phone. So what happened to me is that I've had files modified on my phone and I posted them on YouTube. That's why I'm shadow banned. That's a large part of the reason why I'm shadow banned here on this platform. So when things keep on cropping up that give me a reason to talk, what do people expect from me? What do the intelligence agencies expect from me? They're the ones looking for a problem. They're the ones looking for a fight. Bottom line, they created a problem to begin with. They created a problem to begin with, and they continue to create problems when they abuse their authority and they let oligarchs do the same thing, and whomever else they may contract with. Somebody got onto my phone and edited a file on my phone with AI skills at the level of an engineer in regard to hacking and modifying files and manipulating AI. They put a woman sitting in front of my bed, just floating in there, like it was an alien or something. Very clear as day. And my UB key was delayed in transit, and I said, that's fascinating. Now, for what reason would my UB key be delayed? Well, that would be a very convenient compromise for the NSA or FBI, against a guy who is trying to take control of his own security, and they just don't want it to happen. My first thought, even before that happened, was, what if it got delayed? What if it gets delayed and then it gets modified? And I literally said to myself, I played the devil's advocate. If I was trying to do this, that's what I would do. So my device, I think, got intercepted and manipulated. There was just enough time. That's what I'm thinking. Opened up my package, sure enough, it had been opened. I could tell. Open just enough for a skilled hand, somebody who had done it before, somebody who does it for a living, just to open the package, take it out, modify it as needed, to insert a set of private keys or whatever. So they would always have that on hand for whatever public keys, so they can then match the private keys to the public key as I'm logged into accounts or whatever and gainful access. Spoof whatever, hardware-wise, whatever. We got all the kind of tools to do this kind of stuff. And my other thought is as well, if they can do all this, and hijack you in the ways that you've already seen, it may not matter, but it may if I have a secure session that's locked in by a YubiKey every single time. And other routes of security, see, they want to create a weakness. That will give me another layer of security. Security is about multiple layers. You're not going to have security without multiple layers. If that's a compromised device, my security is now gone. And there could be even malware on it. There's no sense even plugging it in my PC. When you buy a hardware security module or something like a YubiKey, and you've been hacked, like your persistence drive mounted on a network connection where that persistence drive is on an operating system that only uses Tor over the browser, that means that somebody would have had to be controlling both the entrance and one of the exit nodes through Tor. That could only be the NSA and or the FBI. Whomever modified the files on my persistent drive there for Tails. It was fucking weird as hell. As soon as I unplugged the Ethernet, rifled through a shutdown process, went back and looked at it, sure enough, my persistent connection was hijacked. It was mounted over the fucking network. Through the Tor network, by the way. That spells intelligence agencies. I've also captured their ASNs, okay? hijacking me. They've made it very clear that they're fucking with me, even over through the phone. I'm just gonna put it that way. They've been involved in one way or another. So the public needs to know that when the NSA and FBI go too far, they like to keep tabs on a person, and they like to keep harming that person's lives until they think they can control that person or stop that person from getting out to the public what that person found out about them that they shouldn't be doing, instead of them taking responsibility for it and a slap on the wrist. They like to try to harm a person's life instead, try to make a person stop talking, and if they don't stop talking, they'll probably kill them. That's what these people do. That's exactly what they do. And it needs to be addressed. Congress needs to know about it. They already do know. People know. They've known for a long time. The people know. Well, I'm making this video, and I'm making it because I think that I'm still targeted illegally. This all started with a video chat with Elon Musk, and then harassment and stalking, and the feds not wanting to take responsibility for watching things happen that they knew they shouldn't have been watching happening. That spun way out of control, and they let it happen, and they probably played a role in it. And they let other malicious acts happen to me, and they know who did it, and they just watched it happen. They let somebody hack my phone, manipulate the files on my phone to try to intimidate me, and I still have the file. They let it happen. They're aware of it. They're not pursuing the case. The Oregon Department of Justice probably knows about it. Mr. Dan Rayfield probably knows about it, knows about the crime, and nobody's doing anything about it. So the public needs to know.